I want to go back to where I started with this channel back over a year ago. And that's in Colossians chapter 1. And this is where actually the name of the channel comes from, Worthy of the Lord. And specifically, it's in verse 10 of Colossians 1. But we're going to lead into it from verse 9. And before that, the Apostle Paul says that they heard about, it was declared to them, the Colossians' love in the Spirit. And he says in verse 9, and because once we heard about this, since the day we heard it, we don't cease to pray for you. They were in their hearts and their minds and their thoughts that they were praying for them. They were thanking God. They were in communion with God over and about the Colossian believers. This was significant. And he says, and to ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will, of God's will, in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. And that's really significant, to really know God's will, his heart, his thoughts. What does he say? What is he thinking about you? Because when we read these, yes, this was written to the believers in Colossus, but this is something about what's written to the Colossians is also written to you. That's why it's preserved for you, that you can read this and you can take this personally. You really need to read it personally. So he is saying, we're praying for you that you will be filled with the knowledge of God's will, with all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that you actually understand God's heart and his desire. See, we're given a lot of different information, a lot of things we're told and we can believe and accept as God's will that isn't. You know God's heart because he speaks it to you. He shares it with you. He gives you. If you wonder what he's thinking, he's feeling, what his heart is, what his will is, ask him. It's that simple. Ask him, and believing that he will tell you, that he will communicate with you. You know, James is the one that says, if you lack wisdom, if you lack understanding, ask God. He will tell it to you, but don't ask not believing. Ask believing that God is giving you what you're asking for. He wants you to seek him, his wisdom, his understanding, his knowledge, to truly know him. And so Paul says, this is what we're praying, that you really grasp God's heart, that you know it. And this goes into verse 10 then. That, and this is how this turns out. As you grasp his heart, his will, and you know it with this understanding and wisdom, he says this is what comes forth, is that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing. And notice it has him in italics. It says fully pleasing him. But when it's in italics, it means this has been added in the translation. There's not a Greek word there for him. He says that when you grasp this and you have this knowledge and understanding and wisdom of God's will, of his heart, his thoughts toward you and about you, then you can actually walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing. Do you know that you walk in God's pleasure? It is his pleasure that you walk with an understanding of his will and his heart for you and about you. That he has counted you worthy of his blood. He has counted you worthy of Jesus coming in the flesh, living as a man, suffering and dying, being buried and resurrected. He says you are worth this. This is the price that I will pay. In fact, one of the most famous verses is John 3:16, which is, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Notice, his motivation is love. It's not anger, I can't stand you, I need to do something about this. It's love. You are his child, in whom he is pleased, and he wants you to know that he counts you worthy even when you don't. And this goes on in Colossians 1, verses that will speak to that very fact. So he wants you to know God's will so that you truly are walking as worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing. And what does this bring forth? Fruitfulness, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. And remember what Jesus said. This is eternal life, that they know you, the one true God and your Son Jesus. Eternal life is in knowing. Love is an outcome, a product of knowing Him. And this is where we grow. The more I know His heart, the more I know His will, the more I see myself according to how He sees me. And I live in that reality. And it changes me from the inside out. Fruitfulness is my way of life. I live in the righteousness, the love, the presence, the closeness, the pleasure of God, because He has counted me worthy.